Good morning, writers. Let's get started today by filling out our writing learning intentions. Today's date is 1/20, and today as a writer I am working on using stories as evidence. Writers, you'll remember during our last essay unit that after you wrote your thesis statements and planned your supporting ideas for your thesis, which are your reasons, you decided then to become a researcher and collect the evidence that would help you support that thesis. So hopefully it should not be surprising to you that you're going to need to do similar work as you plan for and prepare your literary essay. Many of us will decide that one of the best ways to provide evidence for our thesis or our idea about our story is to select moments from the story that we read that capture the idea we're putting forward. So let's take a look here at our chart. After we test our thesis by asking questions, our next step then is going to be to collect evidence to support that thesis. And in this case today, we're going to support with micro stories. So today I want to teach you and remind you that when you're telling a story to provide evidence for one of your ideas, you need to make sure you angle that story to make sure it supports and connects to your thesis. Let's take a look at how we can do this. Usually, you will have grown your thesis or your big idea by looking closely at many moments from your text. In order to help others see your convincing evidence, you really need to take them slowly and show them those same moments that you studied and help the reader of your essay come to the same conclusion or idea that you did. Here are some things that we can do to really make sure we make a point. The first thing is to begin the story by repeating the point you want to make. We also want to make sure we're using words from the text. Not just our ideas, but we're also bringing in specific words from the text. You can also mention what the character does not do to draw attention to what he or she does do. And then continue to repeat those key ideas and words often throughout your essay. Let's take a look now at our reason. Dog is a good friend because he sees the good in others. First, we need to think, what moments in the story led me to this conclusion? What moments can illustrate this point for other readers? Let's take a look back at the story quick, and I'm going to mark up different parts where I think it might show that Dog sees the good in others. Alright, so here's the part where Dog rescues Magpie. Here it says, "I will never be able to fly," she whispers. "I know," says Dog. He is silent for a moment, then he says, "I am blind in one eye, but life is still good." "An eye is nothing," says Magpie. "How would you feel if you couldn't run?" I'm not really sure, but maybe I'll put a star here that this could be something. I'm going to keep on looking. Alright, so in this next part, Dog convinces Magpie to go with him to the riverbank, and she hops on his back. I don't know that any of this really shows that Dog sees the good in others. Let's take a look at the next page. On this page now they're running, and Magpie is finally feeling happy, and she says, "Fly, Dog, fly. I will be your missing eye, and you will be my wings." Again, I don't know that this part is really showing that Dog sees the good in others. We'll keep going still. Alright, on this page, it says, "And so Dog runs with Magpie on his back every day, through summer, through winter." After the rains, when saplings are springing up everywhere, a fox comes into the bush. Fox with his haunted eyes and rich red coat. He flickers through the trees like a tongue of fire, and Magpie trembles. So here we're starting to get the idea that Magpie is seeing something that is frightening to her with Fox. Let's keep on going. But Dog says, "Welcome, we can offer you food and shelter." "Thank you," says Fox. "I saw you running this morning. You looked extraordinary." Dog beams, but Magpie shrinks away. She can feel Fox staring at her burnt wing. I think I'm definitely going to star this part of the story right here, where Dog is welcoming to Fox, kind of seeing the good in Fox, even though Magpie is seeing something a little different. I think I could definitely use this to support my idea that Dog is a good friend because he sees the good in others. Now I need to think about how I can angle this story to really make my point. I might start out by saying something like, Dog is the kind of character that sees the best in others. Now I'll need to get into some more specific details, so I might say something like this. For example, one day a fox came to the bush where Dog and Magpie lived. Fox moves through the trees sneakily like a tongue of fire. Notice that as I'm writing this, I'm choosing carefully some very specific words that come from the text, like this here, tongue of fire. This will help to paint a picture for my readers. I'll continue on by saying Magpie trembles at the sight of him, but Dog doesn't see the bad in Fox. So here, where I said Dog is the kind of character that sees the best in others, I've already repeated the point I want to make. I use some words from the text. Now the next thing says mention what the character does not do as a way to emphasize what the character does do. Let me show you a way that we could do that. So here, Dog does not tremble like Magpie. He isn't scared by Fox's haunted eyes. Instead, he is excited that Fox has come to visit their cave, and Dog welcomes him in for food and shelter. And finally, I want to repeat the same key words or big idea from the topic sentence above. So I would again say, Dog only sees the good in Fox. Now putting that all together makes an excellent supporting story to support the idea that Dog is a good friend because he sees the good in others. Now I want you to turn and tell your partner what I did to create this mini story to support my idea. What were some of the steps that I took in order to do this? Yes, I definitely showed what I most wanted to say by using the strategies from our chart over here. I began by saying the point I wanted to make. I repeated that point often. I used words from the text. And I even said what Dog didn't do to highlight what he did do. Alright, writers, I think you're ready to try this on your own. Think about your thesis and choose one of the reasons that you had to support your thesis. Now let's think of a time in your story that might support it that you could use as a mini story. Turn and talk to your partner about which story you might choose to help support your reason. Remember that you all have 3 booklets to help you collect your evidence that you might possibly use for your literary essay. On each of these booklets you have your thesis, Dog is a good friend, Dog is a good friend, Dog is a good friend, and then you have reason 1, because he is caring, reason 2, because he doesn't give up, and reason 3, because he always sees the good in people. Obviously, those are my reasons for my thesis. You will have your own thesis and your own reasons on these booklets, and then you'll be filling them up today with at least one mini story for each reason. I know we're all going to work really hard and make it a great writing day.